Some days the biggest victory isn't chasing your dreams or changing the world, you know? Like, it's simply just getting out of bed and refusing to let your mind convince you that your life has no value. Because surviving another day during a mental health battle is a form of strength most people never truly understand. You know, there were moments where my own thoughts became louder than the people who loved me. And it felt like my mind had turned into a battlefield where fear, hopelessness, and exhaustion were fighting against every ounce of peace I was trying to hold on to. And I made a video previous that kind of talks about those struggles, and I wanted to get into these struggles and like talk about these things because I wanted to share it with you guys, and I wanted to kind of tell you like, hey, you're not alone in going through mental health battles because I have struggled, and I still try to post like inspirational stuff. It kind of helps me to post content, and it's also good to just kind of for me to leave something for my family so that like if something were to happen to me, like at least I left something behind on my channel. Mental health struggles can make even ordinary things feel impossible, like answering a text message or walking outside, eating a meal, or smiling at someone without feeling completely drained inside. One of the hardest parts about mental illness is how invisible it can be because people may look at you and think you're fine while you're internally fighting a war that leaves you emotionally exhausted every single day. And, I had nights where I genuinely believed I was losing myself, where I feared the person I used to be was disappearing little by little underneath anxiety, fear, sadness, and constant overthinking. And that's not really the most fun experience, but, I got through it. And like, yesterday I had a really good day, and I had a huge amount of hope. And I started to like see glimpses of my old self and the person that I know I am, and it felt really nice. So, hang on to hope. And, sometimes that hope doesn't arrive as like confidence or happiness. Sometimes hope is just a tiny voice inside of you saying, hold on one more day and see what happens tomorrow. And healing is frustrating because it rarely happens in a straight line. You can have a good week and suddenly fall back into darkness, but that doesn't erase the progress you already made. You know, the strongest people are not always the loudest or happiest looking people. Sometimes the strongest people are the ones quietly carrying pain while still showing kindness to others. And, mental illness can make you feel isolated, even in a room full of people, because it convinces you that nobody truly understands the weight you're carrying inside your head. And, there's so many times where I felt like isolated and stuff like that, and it's just like it's never a fun experience, and it interrupts life, and it gets in the way of like even my video game habit is like just non-existent. I did download Elden Ring, but who knows if I'll actually even be able to play it. There were times when I missed the old version of myself so badly that it felt like grieving someone who was still alive. Because I remember how easy it used to feel to laugh, to dream, and exist without fear consuming everything. And it's not like extreme fear, it's like very beneath the surface. But it's there, and it's like my brain constantly saying, oh, that's not you anymore. And like my abilities like fading from existence, and it's like it really sucks. But even when your brain tells you terrible things about yourself, those thoughts are not the full truth about who you are or what your future will become. You are not weak because you struggle mentally, emotionally, or spiritually. You are human, and human beings were never meant to carry endless pain alone. Sometimes survival looks messy, emotional, unorganized, and imperfect, but surviving is still surviving, even if it doesn't look inspiring on the outside. I would just highly recommend when you are going through these things and you are experiencing these things to hold on to hope. And I hope that the universe will, restore a spirit within you that will, fill you up and make you feel confident and make you feel strong. I really wish this for all of you. And I really hope that, that I see more healing in my community, and I see more people, becoming their old selves again, and being proud of who they are, and having their skills and all these things that they developed for their entire lives. Like, I hope that stays for you, and I hope that stays for me. There were moments where I genuinely believed things would never improve, but then, like yesterday at I went to my sister's salon, and she was cutting my kid's hair, and I started. I also got my hair cut, so when I do my face cam videos, you guys can see my new haircut, and she trimmed up my beard and stuff, and I felt really confident, but I believed things would never improve, but then, I noticed yesterday how things were like doing really well. I was typing really fast on my phone. Like I was using all these skills that I developed and they were still there. And it's like, that feels really good to like get that glimpse of hope, and I was able to share that with my family. And another thing I would say is to be more open. Be more open and kind of hang on to hope because it's really important. And, you're not weak for surviving this, you're strong for surviving this. And, you're all amazing people and you give me a lot of hope, And that road to recovery it's not about becoming the person you used to be necessarily. I mean, it is, but like you have to become it's really hard, but you have to like kind of try to find a way to be at peace with like the other parts of yourself that are less comfortable to be, I guess. And some of the strongest people you'll ever meet are the ones who kept living despite spending years fighting silent internal battles. And most of my stuff and most of my struggles were internal. And yeah, I got through it though, and I will say you need to hang on to hope because you're going to get through it and you're going to look back and be like, "Oh my god, I cannot believe I actually survived that." But yeah, thank you guys for all the support and making this such a fun experience. I love doing YouTube. I'm always going to do YouTube. And yeah, you guys are amazing. Much love. And I'll see you in the next one.